Are you looking for a simple way on how to grow some Swiss chard in the containers? In this video, I'm going to show you how to grow Swiss chard in containers. Hi, this is Jeremy Stock here from Green Thumb Garden, here to give you some tips, tutorials, and reviews for all your gardening needs. In today's video, I'm going to show you a very simple way on how to get some Swiss chard into your containers for your garden. This is part of our Victory Garden series. There's a link right up above of all the other videos in the series that you can take a look at. But today I'm going to focus mainly on Swiss chard. These are some Swiss chard plants that I've had growing from seed. But you can start these from seed anytime. You can also start these from just getting plants at the store. I think they have these, similar to these 6-pack. I always save these when I get stuff from the store. But you can get these 6-packs, or maybe they come in like 4-packs or something at the store. They're already ready to go. So some of the main things that you want to keep in mind when you're growing Swiss chard is you want to have a good spot for it. Whether you grow this in your garden or in a container, you want to have a nice sunny spot where these can grow. These will tolerate a little bit of shade, but these will actually do much better in full sun, or at least 5 to 6 hours of sunlight throughout the day. This will give it a good shot. And these things, if you've never seen Swiss chard before, they're actually very beautiful plants. So I'm actually going to plant these right in my front yard, like right up in my stairs, coming into my front house. So I thought I'd just show you before I get these in the ground, in the container, just kind of some tips for you on making sure these are successful. So the spot I have in front of my house, and I'll show you in just a moment, it's very sunny, and the container I have is, it's a fairly large container, but you can actually use a much smaller container if you didn't have the same size that I have. It doesn't really take much either as far as kind of nutrients, so maybe just a balanced soil. Balanced NPK, and if you're not sure what that is, that's the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and the potassium that kind of makes up the soil composition. The only thing I think you have to do a little bit of is the phosphorus, which is good for the roots of the actual plant. So these things will if you make sure you put that in there, and I'll show you what some of the amendments that I put in when I first plant it. But really, you don't have to do much once you get it into your container. There's really not much you have to do other than making sure that it's watered. It doesn't like a lot of water, but it does need some regular water that you want to keep at it. So just don't let the soil the container that it's in that's drying out. Another tip too, when you're doing anything in a container, just speaking of the watering, is make sure that you have some drainage holes on the bottom of your container, because some containers, they actually don't come with them. So just make sure there's at least one hole in there so your water does drain, and if it's raining out, it's not going to get completely soaked. But first, before we get started, if you could, please give us a green thumbs up. It really helps to show that we're doing a good job with this video. I mean, hopefully we're doing something good for you. Also, if you could, hit that subscribe button down below. I think it's over there somewhere. I always forget where it is. But that way there, you could get all the latest videos that we do have. All right, so let's get started with this. But as I said, you can start out with, you can either do this by seed. You want to plant these at least, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks before you're actually going to put them out, maybe 5 weeks. I'd put a couple, if you're using something similar to this, I'd put maybe like 2 or 3 seeds in here, and then you can leave maybe 1 or 2 of them in here. And you want them to be somewhat fairly, to get a little bit large. They don't have to be this large for you to plant them out. These ones just happen to be, this large when I got around to plant these out. But you can actually transplant them with a little bit smaller. If you're going to get them from the store, they're going to probably be close to this size, maybe a little bit larger or so. So there's different varieties of them. These ones, I think it's actually I don't remember the exact one, but I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put what this one is. I can't remember. I have to look at my seed packet to see which one these are. But I know this is a colorful one. And if you've never had Swiss chard before, it tastes really great, but it also looks beautiful. So what I like to do is, for any kind of container that I have, my mix is fairly simple. I do some peat moss, and I also add in some manure, some compost, my own compost that I make. I add in some worm compost. and then I also add in a little bit of perlite and what's called vermiculite. Most of it is perlite. You can see those are little white little balls that you might see. Now, if you don't really want it to do your own mix, you can get just a regular potting soil. I would just try to get the one without the fertilizer in it. You don't really need it, and it's just you know, it's up to you, but you don't have to put that in there. If that's the only one you have, that's fine. That you know, this plant, like I said, is not really too finicky. What I like to do is just kind of loosen up the soil a little bit if you've already have a container going. So just get it loosened up a little bit. And then some of the amendments that I always put in for most of my containers, you have to put some different amendments in because you know, this is a potted thing, so it's not going to absorb anything from the ground. So whatever's in here is what they're going to get the nutrients from. So the main thing that this plant loves is phosphorus, and this actually is a good blend. It also has calcium in it as well. And this is called bone meal. This is actually ground up. I believe it's actually ground up bone. You know, so that's where they come up with the name. So I'm not really too scientific when it comes to things. I try to keep it easy. You know, we like to just have a victory garden here. So I just take maybe 1 or 2 small handfuls, because you know, this is just a small little container. This is not really anything big. Maybe 3. And I put that in there, and I do add just a little bit of blood meal too. Maybe just a little bit, like a little, like that. And then this stuff is rock dust, azomite, I guess. This stuff actually takes a little while to break down, but I just always add it in every year because I know I added in some last year for this, so that one's probably starting to break down now. But either way, all I do is I make sure the soil at the top is just kind of nice and frilly. These roots do go down a little bit. They don't get too deep in the pot, but you want to have maybe a good, I'd say about a good 6 to 7 inches below the surface, you know, for this to really grow. The bigger that you have, you know, the better it is. But if you just have a small one, that's fine too. So I just kind of mix it up a little bit and make sure the soil is nice and loose. And then when if you're transplanting it from here, you want to make sure that you're watering it before you actually transplant in there. So I kind of just give it a nice soaking, right? And so what I'm going to do for this, I actually got 2 pots and there's 6 plants. So I'm going to do 3 in each one. So depending on the size of your pot, you know, you don't want to overcrowd it too much, but if you did put like 4 or 5 of them in here, it's still going to grow. It's not going to grow, but I would keep it probably in this size container. I think this is maybe about a foot across. I'd probably stick with just 3 or 4 at the most. So if you haven't ever used one of these things before, you just take the little packets and you squeeze the bottom of it, and then eventually it's going to kind of wiggle out. You want to be gentle. You don't want to break the stem off here. Just kind of break it up on the bottom here. And then in your soil, what I do is just kind of do like where you're going to plant them. So maybe a little triangle in this one, since I'm going to plant 3 of them. And I just want, you know, enough so that I can stick this in. So I actually loosen up the dirt a little bit, because if it's been in the pot for a little bit too long, you might have a lot of roots at the end. But this one's pretty healthy. So, and all I do is just stick it right in here, and then I put the dirt around it and I press it down. Okay, and I'm going to do these for the other 3 as well. So what you're doing, you just squeeze the bottom of it. And you don't want to just pull it right up, because, like I said, you could damage the root. But this is pretty hard, even if it just kind of pulled off a little bit. Break it up a little bit right there. These are going to look fantastic too. This is right at the beginning of my door. So when these start getting really big, this is a really good spot because it's got a lot of sun. They're going to be very colorful, and I think this is a rainbow one. So there's yellow and red. So it's going to be pretty colorful, and you can actually eat this stuff too, which is great. All right, so this one looks like a little root mound. So if you can just see right here, it's got a little more roots kind of coming out of it. And we'll stick this in the other hole right here. And then once I get it kind of pressed up, what I like to do is, you know, this thing will eventually kind of stand up on its own, but I kind of like burrow the soil up a little bit so that it's kind of standing up. That way there it gets the maximum sun that it has. And then if you want, I mean, you can really fill this in a little bit if you needed to as well. If I wanted to add a little more dirt in here, you know, I might do that as well. And then once you get it in there, you just want to make sure you water it really good. And it's going to need some watering. It's not going to, you don't need to water this like every day, but just when the soil does start getting dry. If this is a really sunny spot, so you know, as it gets warmer and stuff, I might have to water this every day. But for the most part, I'm just going to check it, and if it's still a little moist, then I'll do it. I'll do it the next day or later on the day or something. But that's it. That's all there really is to planting Swiss chard in a container. And you know, this is one of those things, you know, with any kind of planting with a victory garden that you want to have, is that you want to be creative with what you have and what you have to work with. So if you just have containers, then just make a beautiful garden out of just with containers. I mean, look at this. This is right in front of my house, right in front of these flowers, and people are going to see this as soon as they walk in. I mean, this is beautiful. It's going to grow into this nice bounty of Swiss chard, and you know, I'll still be able to eat this as well. So hopefully you found this video helpful for you. If you could, please give us a green thumbs up. Let us know that we're making great videos for you. Also, if you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That way there you'll get notified anytime we have any new videos that you can see and your heart's content. Also, if you could, share this video with somebody. I mean, it really helps to just kind of to spread the word around about planting your own victory garden and getting something to do and get out there and get some fresh air and get it right into the garden and get started. So hopefully you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.